So then I was thinking we could do like the premium content when we get into the books we really like in the new canon.
Does that involve the nude pictures of all the characters you've drawn? Oh, we're live. Sorry. Oh, hello, everybody.
What about that fan fiction for me and Charlie?
Oh, Charlie has his fan fiction tonight.
Oh boy.
Like he went home and got the actual full fan fiction.
Oh, he has that one?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Some people were getting an ad when we did our little gag.
Oh, well, that's what it's for, really. It's just for the people who have ad block on. They get the good content.
Yeah. Or YouTube Premium.
That's true.
Okay.
I have that.
Me too. I think it's great.
I want to download the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great. All right, let me just refresh my page. Then I'll do a little intro. Then we will get going. That was really loud.
Just blow out the mic before you start. That's great.
Beautiful start. Oh, yeah. Jesus. All right. Hey, guys. This is Justin. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tapcaf Transmissions, our Star Wars EU podcast. I'm joined today by Corey from Corey Loses and Corey's Datapad, and we will be discussing Book 7 of the X-Wing series, X-Wing Solo Command. And today in my video, I said Book 7 of the X-Wing trilogy, and it was very, very embarrassing.
What is it? X-Wing nonology?
Isn't it 10 in total?
Well, after this, there's only what? Oh, no, there's Star Wars Matter.
We've got, Mercy Kill. And so
I forgot about our Adamar.
Yeah, so one thing that's kind of interesting is we've been doing this for a while. Those of you who are just tuning in for the first time today, whether on YouTube or in podcast form, we did the first 4 books of what most people call the Rogue Squadron series, and then there's 3 books in the Wraith Squadron series, and after this, there's a bit of a break in universe. But I didn't realize this in '99. Iceheart's Revenge actually came out, so the same year, I think, as Solo Command. So they went right into the later books, because I know before I started, we've kind of talked about this before, I didn't realize that these books came out so sort of late in the Bantam run.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things we talked about early on, where it was both of us were kind of surprised by how compressed some of the timelines were, and how like even Black Fleet Crisis and some of those series were coming out around the same time.
Yeah, and that's probably like the effects of that, I think, are most evident in this book, actually, because, and this is the one book where I think more than any, I felt that they were very clearly working within confines. Because so the basic premise of this book is Han Solo is the general of a New Republic task force, basically assigned to hunt down Warlord Zinj. Zinj isn't an Imperial. He was a formal Imperial, but now he's kind of made his own little Imperial empire, his own little mini empire, and he's fighting off various factions, and he's just a big bad dude. The main problem is we know that Zinj and his Super Star Destroyer survive into Courtship of Princess Leia, which chronologically is like the next book. So for me, at least, it's kind of boring with all these, because Zinj has lots of near misses, or like Han and the boys get really close to killing Zinj, but you just know that he's not going to be able to.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things is that we've done 7 X-Wing books now, but the biggest connection between any books that we're going to have done is that Solo Command pretty much goes right into the opening of Courtship of Princess Leia. So they're probably the most connected books, despite Courtship being written earlier by a different author in a very different style than a lot of the X-Wing books.
Yeah, very different.
So that'll be kind of a big contrast for the next episode.
Right. And I mean, it does kind of set it up, because they think Zinj is still alive, but they think his Super Star Destroyer is dead.
Yeah.
So, because I guess at the beginning of Courtship is Han on like shore leave when he kidnaps Leia, I guess.
I know at the start of the book, he's talking about how it's been 5 long months that he's been tracking Zinj. So
it is kind of interesting to think that like the whole Zinj thing was just made up on the spot, like in media res. Is not what they say. Like it's just like, but we'll talk more about that next book, I guess. I'd say this too, I guess, before we get into specifics, is does the best job, I think, of using Rogue and Wraith Squadron, although we're still
Yeah.
focused on Wraith Squadron. I personally would have liked if it was a bit more mixed. But we do see like Rogue Squadron characters kind of not from like their perspective, but we see them from the outside, especially Corrin and Noara, and I guess mostly those two.
Yeah, since all the Wraith and Rogues characters are established by this point, there's
Mm-hmm.
less of the setup that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to mix them up a bit more, especially because they're in the same place. That helps. But
Yeah.
we do get to see our longtime favorite characters from Rogue
Oral.
Squadron, like Pedniscotian,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
all those great, everyone's favorite Rogue.
Yeah. But no, but when I was reading it and I was like, it was like Oral and Corrin were flying. I was like, man, I'd give anything for just like 5 minutes with Oral. Just like hear his sweet, sweet voice.
Whoa.
I said what I said. No, but just to like get that interaction again because like I miss
Yeah.
Corrin Horn's perspective, and I kind of realized that I've missed them in all of these books. And I don't know. I think he's the most interesting character still.
He definitely has the most interesting overall storyline after this
Mhm.
because he actually gets a storyline after this. I guess
Yeah.
like Mercy Kill gives some of them a
Yeah.
storyline, but
That's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Like I think one thing that Star Wars Legends books do to like either good or poor success is bringing in longtime characters. Like if you read Legacy of the Force or Fate of the Jedi, does Corran Horn really feel like the same Corran Horn? You know what I mean? Or is it just like
mhm.
a character who does this thing that has the name Corran Horn?
Yeah, a lot of that does depend on the authors too, because
Yeah.
especially with Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, you have three authors trading off. So it's
Mm.
like if you have, I think Aaron Austin did Fate of the
No, he did
Jedi.
Legacy of the Force.
It was Legacy of the
Yeah.
Force. So if when you get him writing Corrin,
Yeah.
it feels more like Michael Stackpole's Corrin. But then uh, when you get to like Karen Travis or Troy Denning doing Corrin, it does feel very different. Because I think in Karen Travis's books, Corrin is a Mandalorian.
Actually, he did both Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well,
you're right. Like it and it's funny because like each one of the like anytime Aaron Alston has a book, chances are there's gonna be a flight simulator in it at one point.
yeah. But yeah, I think that happens to a lot of the characters
Mm-hmm.
where they just kind of fill in whatever role is needed for that.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Kyle, who doesn't get to fill in anything. But
Or for like certain characters like who get just thrown into any situation possible. Like any of Troy Denning's characters will
mhm.
basically just like if something needs to happen, it'll happen. Um,
Or the Young Jedi Knight characters actually probably stay the most consistent.
like
Any
Zach
of
and
well, Jason, Jaina, any of
oh
the ones that
yeah,
are like mostly formed by Kevin J. Anderson
yeah.
tend to
Mm-hmm.
stay the most similar.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jason mostly always feels like Jason. Jaina mostly always feels like Jaina. Zach, even like Dalla.
Yeah. Well, Jaina has the kind of weird thing where she's like a total badass in Fate of the Jedi, but there are certain points of like, and for parts of Legacy of the Force,
Mhm.
but there are other points where she's just like sitting there shrugging, just like,
Well, with some of it, it feels like it's different, but it's also a valid
right.
way for her character to progress because
Because
that
they're
a
in
lot
their
of that did come in
30s.
with Del Rey, where it was
Yeah.
they wanted to keep that continuity.
Yeah.
Wherein the Bantam books, if it's the same character in more than two books, you're kind of lucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, because they're like 30 by Fate of the Jedi. But like Saba, for example, she stays pretty much the same. And that's largely because she's being written by Troy Denning most of the time.
Well, she also is kind of a one note character,
Right.
and the more one note the character is, the easier it is. Like she just has to like
Be
laugh
angry.
at someone getting hurt and say this one like 17 times.
Yeah. How do Barabels even become Jedi? Like they're so angry all the time, and they like they just love killing things. Like I don't think they're fit to be Jedi.
We'll probably get to that with NJO. Like
Yeah,
everyone dies except for Tessar.
yeah,
Well, that's the nest gone. This is what happens in Nature Guy.
yeah. Okay, that was quite a tangent. It would be interesting though to learn how Aaron Alston and Michael Stackpole work together. Um,
Mm.
I don't know if there's anything ever been written about that, but Unfortunately, Aaron Alston has passed away. I think it was it 2015?
Yeah. 2014, 2015. I think it was Disney that killed him or something.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's what my impression from the fandom is, right? That's what, when they say Disney killed legends, it was actually that they murdered Aaron
literally
Alston.
are killing authors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little no griet. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna stop there. But I messaged Troy Denning on Twitter, and he said he was gonna. I asked him if he had any memories of working with Aaron, and he said, "Yep," and he'd write us something. So.
Oh, cool.
Something to look forward to. Troy Denning is super responsive on Twitter. He's literally responded to any message I've sent him.
What we need to do is just start DMing him during an episode.
Yeah.
And we can call that having him as a guest.
Okay, guys, if you have any questions for Troy Denning, make sure to join our Patreon. We'll get you straight to the source.
Direct access.
Yeah. That's our $100 tier, direct access to Troy Denning. Want to know what happened to Vistara? We can tell you.
We'll just commission him to write Legends fan fiction.
Sure, why not? I think actually Michael Stackpole has a Patreon. I think it's Michael Stackpole. Well, yeah, I think Michael Stackpole has a Patreon where he where you can get some of his writing and stuff early. It's obviously not Star Wars related, but
all right, so I think we have a book to talk about tonight.
Yes.
What is it? Solo Command?
Yes.
I didn't read it.
No, me neither. Let's go back to
All right,
talking about it. But yeah, so Solo Command, as I said, pretty simple. Solo commands a fleet that's trying to take down Warlord Zinj. Kind of, I don't know, it's a fun book. I thought it was kind of inconsequential, but I guess we'll get to that later. It starts off, man, I'm so unprofessional, with, it's a Twi'lek, right? Trying to...
Yeah, we get, I think his last name is Eyan, Eyan, where he gets his code phrase given to him, and he's going to try to assassinate Akbar.
His is like Wookiees dancing, right? Wookiees dancing in the parlor.
It's always some sort of weird phrase like that. Like later on, Taldira gets told that Wedge is hopping on one leg.
Yeah.
And luckily, Akbar is in a meeting with Piggy going over the last battle, or going over the engagements with the 181st, giving his theory on, or at least his notes on how the 181st, or the false 181st, as we learn in this book, is acting in battle, where they were fairly predictable.
Yeah. He thinks it's because they're just, Piggy suggests it's because they're so well trained, but later, or because they're so good, I think, but later we learn that, half of their ships are droids, which is kind of weird. But yeah. So Piggy, they get attacked, and Piggy almost dies due to the assassinate. He gets shot, just straight up, he gets shot in the stomach, and he almost bleeds out. Kind of an interesting moment where he's like, because Piggy's been he's a genetically altered Gamorrean, so he's kind of usually he's pretty reserved and not like a Gamorrean, but when he's shot, he gives into his Gamorrean instinct and destroys this guy's head.
Yeah, I actually thought for a few seconds that he actually was dead. I was just I thought he survived, but I guess not. But then it turned out he did, so that was good.
Oh yeah. Reading that for the first time, I would have been pretty, because I like Piggy. He's a good character. We get to see a bit at the end of the book. I forget. I think it's the first Wraith Squadron. There's that scene where he's giving battlefield commands on the fly. We get to see that a bit at the very, very end of this book. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, Piggy loved math.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He just killing an enemy combatant. He's like, Piggy loved math. But who do you think's thicker, Piggy or Runt?
Thicker is THICC?
Yeah.
Definitely Piggy.
Piggy, right. Who do you think's stronger though? Because I feel like Runt's got that sort of lean horse strength.
Piggy's definitely got more brute strength, but so? I feel like Runt has more dexterity.
But yeah, good call. Does Runt have hands? He must have hands, right?
Yeah.
But not hooves.
I think his feet are hooves.
Okay.
But he's wearing a stormtrooper mask at some point in
that's right.
Squadron, right?
Yeah.
So the pure
I think the
horse.
images have kind of over exaggerated the degree to
Yeah.
which he was meant to look like a horse. Because
Well,
like
there's the one picture that is literally just a
it's
picture of a
literally a
horse, and then there's
horse.
the other one that's a lot more like
Like, okay,
Bothan.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I
The,
feel like if one was more official, it would probably be the more Bothan-esque one rather than like literal horse.
well, the horse one's definitely newer though, because I know the Botham one you're talking about. I think the horse one's like one of the character books or something, or maybe even one of the encyclopedias. I don't know.
Yeah, I maybe more recent, but I feel like that's something I'm willing to overlook for this particular case.
I feel like he's just it does present a terrifying image though, because it always talks about his like large, square teeth, and like he's always like I don't know, like drooling and stuff. Like they talk about like he's like drooling and stuff. It's like pretty creepy. You don't want.
Yeah,
And later he like gives it to that I forget the name of the Shala, who's like known to be like hand to hand like aficionado, is kind of getting her ass beat a little bit, and Runt just picks the guys up and just like cracks him,
yeah.
just like
And
wrecks him.
when they're on in that raid on where was that? Cephalor.
Yeah.
Uh when they're all like burning up, he's like on fire and just wrecks everything.
Mm-hmm. This book actually had like a few moments that I thought were kind of unsettling. Um, the one part where, like, where Tyria is like, you know how she's like kind of developing her force powers in this
Hmm.
book. There's one part where they're about to break into like the facility, and she's like, I can feel them watching, and they're laughing. I was like, that's kind of creepy. Um, and yeah, just like the stuff with like the Wedge hopping on, or Wedge has a fake leg or whatever. That stuff I don't know. I thought it was pretty unsettling, and like not in a bad way, like in a good way.
Unsettling in a good way.
Well, like in a well done.
Yeah. A lot of the Wraith stuff is a bit darker like that,
Yeah.
where they start kind of getting the same plot armor. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
uh, that Rogue had by the end, but like the stuff they go through is still pretty horrifying in some
Yeah.
cases, and like it definitely comes across that they're supposed to be this squad of kind of broken people.
Yeah, the part where
Like
they're
with
like being burnt is pretty. Like that's a pretty horrifying mission where they're like dropped in the incinerator and stuff.
yeah, the everything between Donos with Lara right before then,
Mm-hmm.
and basically right up until uh, the stuff that happens at Josephat 4, where the Rogue and Wraith pilots get activated by Gailey, whatever the chef's name was.
Oh yeah.
Everything in between then
Yeah.
is just kind of terrible,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's okay for a little bit after that, but then you get like Donos almost blowing up face
Yeah.
to get to Lara.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Star Wars has this sort of problem though, where like physical and emotional like damage like that doesn't always last. Like from the emotional side, a lot of it is just kind of hand waved away. But like from the physical side, they literally just will hop in a bacta tank. Like I remember in Legacy of the Force when Luke like kicks the shit out of Jason and like lets him live. Like he like breaks his nose and like burns his scalp and breaks his legs and stuff. It's like okay, sweet. Like he's gonna be a changed character, but it's like nope, he hops in a bacta tank. Same with
Yeah,
that.
back to just a get out of jail free card for
Yeah,
everyone but Ton.
yeah, exactly. And in this, it's like they're in the they're getting in the incinerator. They're in the incinerator, which is a pretty horrific scene because like no matter what, like they've got flames shooting at them. They're like if they touch the surface, they're like catching fire. Like Runt has half his fur burnt off and whatnot. But you just know as long as they make it out, they'll get in the back to tank and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I actually thought Jansen was hurt a lot worse than he was on the Josephat stuff. Right after they come out of the incinerator,
Mm-hmm.
they fight Netbers and some stormtroopers,
Right,
and
that's the
Netbers is
same.
supposed to be like fantastic at everything he does,
Yeah,
but even the half dead burnt Wraith squadron just kills him.
yeah,
And like Jansen gets shot or something during that fight, and it's kind of unclear at the end of his section. Like it's seemingly implying that he is either dead or unconscious, but then the next scene they're with that set of Wraiths, he's just fine.
yeah. He seemed to be pretty pissed too. He's like
Yeah.
Jansen has like two modes. He's got like clown mode, and then he's got like kill everything mode.
I love Clown Mode Jansen. That's probably my favorite character
Yeah,
in the Wraith
he
Squadron books.
and he's consistently funny. I think not quite as funny in this book as he was last time, but still really funny.
Yeah, the jumping on the bed was great.
Yeah.
His
You mean Rogue Squad or Wraith Squadron's sophisticated mental health programs?
yeah. You don't need a therapist. You just need to have some fun.
He's like, who should I go talk to first, the medic or my fellow pilots? He's like, and Wedge is like, the pilots.
Those other people that are also mentally damaged.
Yeah, and Wes,
They're responsible for your well-being, and they should damn well know it.
Right. So for those who don't know, there's a character Min, and his whole squad was wiped out, and he's still dealing with that, obviously. And he almost has a mental break, and that's when he discovers that Lara, who he had a bit of a crush on, and like kind of an aggressive crush too.
There was definitely some level of assault there.
Yeah, yeah. And West is like, if you didn't get slapped, you weren't trying hard enough.
That's not the message you want to impart.
No.
Yeah, so he almost blows up the squad leader at that point, Face.
Yeah.
And then the New Republic basically is saying to Wedge, you need to get rid of this guy. I was like, well, I still get to make my own decision, and I'm gonna let him think about it. And I'll make him. The way I'm gonna decide this is get literally anyone else, get him to convince someone else to tell me he should stay, and then he stays. And as far as I know, no one did that. Like, we don't find out.
Well, West does
really
it.
What happened?
Doesn't he? I think West does.
Not real. Like,
doesn't he do it after the? Because like he has to be gunner on the Falcon, and then after that, doesn't West say something?
He didn't seem like.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
Maybe he did, but it wasn't like a.
To be honest, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to Wedge's snake oil.
Well, he asked Donos what he wants his role to be in the battle, and then ideally, and Donos is like, oh well, I'd want to be in my fighter, or I'd want to be in the Falcon, or the Falcon, or Falsehood. I prefer Falcon.
I like Falcon too.
But then Wedge is like, okay, well, because you were honest with me, you get to be in your fighter. Try not to blow up Face.
Try not to murder somebody. What did you think?
You'd think that Face would get some sort of ability to weigh in on that, but after he almost blows up, we almost never hear from Face again in the book.
Yeah, what did you think of Face being made? So Face is made commander in this book because Wedge moves back to Rogue Squadron. What did you think of that?
I think he's the right choice. I think it was supposed to set up like it was either him, Min, or Kel.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of getting 2 books worth of Wedge promoting Face to see how, or at least partially to kind of see how Kel is going to react.
Right.
Which just says that he's probably not what Wedge sees as leadership material in the first place. And Kel gets about 3 lines between this and Iron Fist. So
yeah, it was really surprising actually because they set him up to be like a pretty, like the first book really sets him up to be a kind of major character, and then he just doesn't really see a whole lot of action.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the demo expert and hand-to-hand expert.
Yeah.
And then not much demo stuff comes up, and Shala supplants him as the hand-to-hand expert in the last book.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we won't see him again until New Jedi Order when they do the mission to Coruscant, I think, to kill.
Which is. Sorry,
it's the enemy lines when they go back to Coruscant and they run into what's his name, Nyax.
But is Isard's Revenge, Starfighter's Adamar,
so
both rogue?
Yeah, Iceheart's Revenge is I'm pretty sure they're both rogue. Yeah, and Iceheart's Revenge is like after I think it's right after Thrawn dies.
Yeah.
And then Starfighters of Adamar is, I think it's like halfway through the Callista stuff. I think it's after the bug stuff. But I could be wrong. I didn't check. That's just what.
Yeah, Adamar is like right after Dala takes over.
Oh, okay.
I think. It's between Dala and Pelion at some point around there, around Arena campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mercy Kills.
Way later.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
but yeah, I guess we don't really get much of any of the wraiths other than Wedge for a long time.
Well, we get a bit of Tycho.
Mm,
Oh, you said any of the wraiths? Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
we've got
wraiths.
what's his name? Kel Interior's son. What's his name? He shows up occasionally because he's a Jedi. Um, I can't remember his name. Um,
No, I think they use one of the fake names for him, like Doran Tainer.
could be. Yeah, Doran. But that's like that's like his last. That's Kel's last name, right? Like his fake last name.
Yeah, yeah. It was.
But
Yeah,
then
no, it was Doran Sarkentainer.
right, and he shows
And then
up. I'm pretty sure in Legacy, and I know he shows up in Fate of the Jedi because I was just reading it,
yeah,
and he has a duel with one of the lost tribes of the Sith guys.
good for him. Really making their way through the world there.
Yeah, he kicks his ass. That part of the book is so funny because it's like they've let the Sith invade Coruscant, and like there's like thousands of them on the planet, and Luke has this plan to kill all of them, but technically he won't attack unless they have cause to. So it'll be like he'll like basically be sending one of the Sith a text message, and it'll be like, "Give up and stand up," and if they don't right away, it's like he drops a crane on them or something.
Well, yeah, isn't Abeloth on the planet at that point too?
Yeah,
Like that,
she shows up. Yeah.
Coruscant has a lot of bad stuff happen to it after
I want to do a video about like
my
how
baby way.
badly the Coruscant underworld gets messed up because when the Vong show up and they like bust the moon and stuff, Coruscant is like completely overgrown by like coral and creatures and stuff.
Hmm.
And then Abeloth shows up, and then like the creatures like get all warped by the dark side and stuff, and it's just like it's like a hellhole. And they're like, yeah, there's nobody left. Like, everyone is killed in the Coruscant underworld.
There's this giant evil presence down there, but as long as we don't look at it, then we'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Well, one of the plot lines in Fate of the Jedi is there's a documentary series on the TV about how shitty the Coruscant underworld has gotten. Fate of the Jedi 2, or yeah, Fate of the Jedi also has the Sith start their own news station on Coruscant.
I really need to reread that.
Oh, it's so
It's been so long.
it's just like it's like Fox News basically, but it's like they say that the Jedi have been trying to they're trying to attack the Sith because the Jedi are involved in a system-wide spice smuggling scheme.
Well, with Booster and Talon, who knows what the Jedi are involved with?
That's true. Talon actually has like a one-line appearance in the whole Fate of the Jedi. It's like Luke's going away party when he gets his ass kicked out of the temple off Coruscant. It's like he's there for 2 seconds.
I just love how like anyone who's worth anything in the galaxy just happens to know each other
Yeah.
and they're like best friends. I was even thinking about that during this book, where it talks about how close like Wedge and Han and Leia are.
Yeah.
But if you look at the actual timeline, at what point did any of them actually spend that much time together?
Some cold nights together on Hoth, maybe.
That must be it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because Wedge would have had like maybe when they were over at Bakura. I don't know.
but even with that, they're talking about like
yeah.
Truce of Bakura has a lot of scenes with Wedge and Leia about how they're like such old friends now.
Yeah.
And there's actually very few stories that have them interact that much.
I'm trying to think. You're right though. They do quite a bit later on. Like Wedge is always around, but yeah, because
by that point, like Chief of State and high-ranking general doing office work instead of like being deployed for months or years on end.
I feel like Wedge just has no friends, so like he's just totally misreading their relationship. Like he comes up to Leia and like I think it's X-wing, and he's like telling her all this shit. He's like, I don't think I'll ever settle down. And Leia's just like, dude, like I met you for 25 minutes on Hoth. We like brush shoulders in a corridor. Like back off.
Didn't my brother call you stupid at some point? Who are you?
Didn't you look completely different at one point?
He's just a background character that got some extra lines.
Yeah.
Well, we actually early on we do see on their last shore leave before they're leaving before Mon Ramonda leaves repairs,
Mm-hmm.
Wedge is going for a date or we think he's going for a date, and by we I mean
Yeah.
Hobby and Jansen.
Chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of corner him. He's all dressed up, and because in the Rogue Squadron books he was kind of hitting on Iella
Who's the least
until
attractive of all the women?
well we don't have time to pull out the whole chart here, but uh, and we don't even really know where all the wraiths fit onto that chart either.
This book tells us that Kel is number 2 behind Face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that include before Face gets the surgery though, or the back to strip? The
It would
Band-Aid
be.
put on his
It
face
would
for
be
15 minutes to
after.
get rid of his
It
scar?
was after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before then, we don't know.
I shrugged. You guys can't see.
Great. That's the best response for a podcast.
Oh. Anytime I go, I'm shrugging.
But yeah. So, any theories on who Wedge was going to meet there? Was that Iella? Do we care?
Probably. Maybe he was like, I don't know. Those Corellians, who knows? I was trying to remember. Winter's in one of the earlier books, right?
She's in Wedge's Gamble,
Right, on Coruscant, right? Yeah.
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 Because they started like going with her and Tycho there.
I thought it was kind of weird that they kind of just totally dropped Mirax.
Well, I think that's just while they're deployed. Because
Yeah.
I thought about that too, but she wouldn't have the same clearances like actually be on Mon Ramonda while they're on station duty.
No,
or on
yeah,
carrier
that's
duty.
true. I guess
Because they actually mentioned that in the book where you guys have been on carrier duty for so long now,
Yeah.
rogues and wraiths are probably going to get planet duty, or wraiths are actually going to get reassigned to New
Yeah.
Republic intelligence by the end of this. But
Yeah, I was thinking like it would have been nice if she had stopped by that asteroid base they have in the last book, just for some supplies. But whatever, who cares? Or that's
I mean,
book.
you
That's
wanna
book
see
1, I
Mirax.
guess. Yeah, I don't care about the pulsar skate.
wait, maybe she did. We don't know
Maybe.
what the rogues
that's
are
my
really
head
up
canon
to.
now. She brought them all a jar of what do they call the Corellian cakes again? Spice cakes and Corellian brandy.
Loman ale.
Yeah.
So I guess after the assassination. All right, I'm going to be Sean Connery for the rest of the podcast.
Oh God.
We get a simulation run by Face and Lara, where they're trying to adapt their tactics for mixed squadron runs.
Holy shit, we're really covering the minute details here.
But I'm trying to
No, I got
go
you.
down the line. But after that, we get introduced to the new character for this book, Ellasar Targon. Who specifically is he replacing? I guess Wedge.
Probably Grinder. No, because he replaces Wedge before Wedge.
Right.
It's probably Grinder.
Oh, Don Caston, everyone's least favorite character ever.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because he already replaced Grinder.
Right.
And then because
He
Grinder's been dead.
Could be Ton. He could be replacing Ton.
That's true.
No one will ever replace Ton in my heart, though.
Yeah, he gets mentioned in this book, and it's great.
Yeah.
But we should just talk about that. But Ellasar comes in. He's calm at first, and then he becomes the most annoying character in Star Wars history.
Yeah, he's like the guy who's like had his first beer. Because it's like, you're not crazy enough to be part of Wraith Squadron. And
well, let me never shut up for the next 300 pages.
Yeah, he like jumps up on the table and like whips his dong out, I think is what they say. That is what they say, right?
Shows them that his master of the universe.
Yeah, shows him his little Deveronian.
Jesus.
I don't know. That's what I remember.
Want to see some Celestian dewflaps, guys?
I was sleepy during that part. I could have misremembered.
I don't know what you were reading, but maybe it was the fan fiction.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
Ellasar does replace fan? Okay.
Thanks, Corey.
You're
in
welcome.
chat. Not you. There was no E there.
What about Don Calypso, too? Thank you, Corey and Don Calypso.
Yeah, he was a nutcase, and he's always just like throwing in like little jibes to like make them seem really like, oh man, the wraiths are so crazy and energetic. It's just like,
Yeah. He just overdoes it
yeah,
entirely,
yeah,
and then he seems to get really uh quickly into the social life of the wraiths.
mm-hmm.
Like there's the after Face gets appointed the squad leader, they all go into his room, and it's like Lara, Dia, and Targon for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
making friends.
good for him. I'm not gonna complain about it. Listen, the man is, you know, he's social.
It's weird to think about how quick the time span for these books is, because
Yeah,
I think it's like 3 months that Akbar says they have before their bet is up,
yeah,
and Han says that he's only been chasing Zinj for 5 months. So the last 3 books, it's like a month each book, and that's
yeah.
all happens very fast.
It's like we're like it's taking us as long to read the damn thing.
Yeah, actually, I think we're about half of real time right now.
We're too close to a pulsar or something.
But yeah, so Wedge forces Hobby and Jansen to walk into the back of an elevator and sends them away while he goes on his date.
Mm.
Uh, but then the rest of the squad wants to go down to the surface and take Ellasar to the museum that we probably the same one that was mentioned in Wedge's Gamble.
But it's been
when
kind of
everyone's on Coruscant.
reappropriated, I think.
Yeah, they're probably not keeping all the Imperial propaganda there anymore,
Mm-hmm.
unless there's like a wing just for that.
That'd be interesting. Well, it seems like because the things are pretty brutal and they seem to be pretty anti-imperial. And at one point, someone mentions it wasn't as unfair as it could have been, or something, or like it wasn't as
We do get the Iceheart display,
Oh
and we
yeah.
get a lot of information about Iceheart there. But what the question I was still left with, let me know if you're going to predict what this question is. Maybe we're on the same page here.
Mm-hmm.
But there was all this information about her. We hear about how Face sat on her lap at some point. But the burning question for me was, what color are her eyes, and are they the same color?
Again, just based on the duality of her personality and the fact that sometimes she has an angry fury and sometimes she's got a more cold, stoic fury, I'm gonna guess probably not.
Okay.
I'm gonna say
Is
one
that
is.
joke done now?
I don't think so.
Okay.
For now.
Isard's revenge. It'll be back with a vengeance.
I basically gave the same line as last time, though. I was reading a text, so I had to.
That's fine. We do run into Adalia Monothere,
Oh yeah,
or the guy who thinks that Lara is Adalia Monothere.
is she somebody?
She is Lara's mom.
But like, is she in anything else? Like, could we have we have recognized her name before this point? Probably not.
I don't think before this point, but I'm sure she got a backstory, didn't she?
Yeah, she got a she
Oh,
got
she was.
a whole story
Nope.
in the Tales of the Mon Ramona Cantina.
She was actually mentioned in the complete Star Wars encyclopedia.
Everything was
So
mentioned in that.
there you
Literally
go.
everything.
Yeah, it was more extensive than I thought.
Oh yeah,
It is
I've
complete.
got a copy. It's huge.
I didn't realize how late it came out.
Oh
So
yeah, it was like 2008 or 2009, I think.
yeah,
Maybe it was 2012 actually. It was pretty late.
I might have to order one too. I have an ebook version of it.
Yeah, me too. It's annoying because it comes in like 3 parts though.
Well, that's like most encyclopedias. Otherwise,
I
it
don't
would
know
be
my
just
alphabet either, so it
unmanageable.
makes it all really difficult.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Uh, so we get into the ambush at Levian.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first engagement we get between Han's fleet and Zinj's fleet. They start off like kind of even, where Mon Ramonda is fighting the first group, and then like slowly over the course of the battle, the other two groups show up, and they're trying to run. And this is where I believe the famous call between Zinj and Chewbacca happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, so Han is like just thinking of ways to like insult Zinj basically, and he does it by having Chewbacca answer the phone. Chewbacca's not even like a commissioned officer or anything. He's just there.
We're just allowed to hang around.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty funny. And then I don't think he says "kiss my Wookiee" here, does he? Or does he? I know he says it later for sure. And then he says it. later
Yeah, I
on.
thought it was when no, because Chewie's on the phone with him the whole time this time, so it'd be
Right.
a different time. Uh, but the only real notable thing that happens in this battle is the destruction of the Carrack. Uh, I don't know if there was any like military strategy you pulled out of that. That was fantastic.
Not really. I mean, I don't remember. Is this the battle where the Monramonda gets like nearly destroyed by like a laser barrage because it doesn't have his shields up? Or no, that's later
No,
on.
that's when the A-wing.
Yeah, right. That's later on. No, I mean this book is like all three books in this series are kind of like the capital ships never really do anything to each other. They kind of just like chug it out. The Solo Command does manage to take down a few of their smaller frigates and a couple of Star Destroyers too, I think. But it's just mostly through
The ones that are
barrages.
doing the ones that are doing the run for Stellar Web,
Right.
Roberts' flagship,
Yeah.
they get taken apart by Solo's ISDs, and then
Right.
Roberts does a cool little maneuver.
He like
But that's
bounces
one of the
off
later.
with the
Yeah,
And
use
they
the gravity wells to like
don't they capture
bumper
those
car his way
ISDs
through.
too? I think, or they capture one of them because he's like send a command crew over.
I think they get one of them.
Kind of cool.
Serpent Smile.
I think it would have been cool to have one of these books have the crew on an ISD.
So like Star Wars ISD.
Yeah.
Solo Command.
Yeah.
Do we really get any of those?
Aaron Venture. You get Aaron Venture stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Well, the new canon Thrawn is really like that. Like the new canon Thrawn books are like they like talk about the politics of who gets to launch from the shuttle bays the quickest.
Yeah, Thrawn trilogy and duology are kind of probably the closest we get to that. Other than that, like anything by Zan.
I'm trying to think. There's gotta be
Outbound Flight has a bit of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
One thing I noticed when going through my copy of Courtship is what I had never seen before was the Thrawn trilogy was the Empire trilogy. I wasn't aware of that.
I've never.
Or I may have been aware of that, but I'd definitely forgotten that if that's
the Empire trilogy.
Yeah.
Because it's heir to the Empire, I guess.
I guess at that point it was like the only book that had a lot of Imperial side of things. It's like that trilogy, Truce of Bakura, Courtship, Jedi Academy trilogy, Crystal Star, Amishak Corellia, and new in hardcover, Children of the Jedi.
I'm gonna pull a copy right here too. Let's see, what do I got? I've got Jedi Search right here. First edition, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have a copy of the manuscript signed by Barbara Hambly.
What? No, I'm joking. That would be pretty cool. If you do get that, I'll pay you for it.
I have the initial sentence where she wrote "jizz box" the first time. That is a Star Wars term. That's not
for a career. This wasn't first edition. Never mind.
Oh,
it's got all the X-wing stuff in the front cover, but I guess we do get a bit of Star Destroyer stuff with Gara and Legacy of the Force. They spent a lot of time on the Anakin Solo, so.
What a terrible name for us.
It's
was just pure disrespect.
There's the Anakin Solo. There's the Obi-Wan. Isn't the Obi-Wan in Endurance, I think?
I think it was in Nebula, because there was the whole thing about how, well, actually it was the first one of the class, so really it should be called the Obi-Wan class.
Right.
That whole kerfuffle.
And there's I know we've talked about this before, the Elagos Akla. The worst name for a Star Destroyer of all time.
Yeah, let's name it after a pacifist.
Admiral Akbar? Okay, I get it. Even the Han Solo Star Destroyer? Sure. But yeah. Although, I mean, Anakin didn't die to the Empire, so I guess that helps a little bit.
No, I just mean, like, Jason's use of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a bit in... Oh, yeah, Jason's use of it. But there's a bit in Legacy of the Force 2 where Han's like, "You named a Star Destroyer after my boy."
That's exactly how he said it, too.
Yep.
You should actually have replaced Harrison Ford as young Han Solo.
They asked me, but I was too busy with my YouTube channel.
Like, the one they got was really good. I actually really loved him in Solo, but just that performance right there alone you would have
Well,
been
they
a
were
real
even like,
shoo-in
"Do you
for
want to
that.
do ADR for it? Like that way you can record it from your office." And I was like, I'm kind of busy.
They were gonna David Prowse him.
Yeah. Well, no,
Damn.
they were gonna shoot the entire movie from over his shoulder, so it wouldn't have been
Okay,
it wouldn't have been an issue.
that's fair.
Yeah.
So we jump from Levian ambush to them having their planning session on Mon Ramonda, trying to figure out how they're going to capture Zinj. And I like that they're part of this fleet, uh, but pretty much every plan that gets executed by the fleet is just from the Starfighter command on this one
Yeah.
ship.
And
And
Han's
the
like,
fact that
"Guess we'll
Han's
go with it."
involved in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that Han's involved in it is a surprise to everyone
Yeah.
when he turns around in the chair. How are they a bunch of
I
like
know.
super skilled commandos if they don't have even the basic security sense to check a turned around chair?
Let's be honest. Han fucking stinks too. All he does is drink Corellian whiskey, hang around with a walking carpet, and like not shower because he hasn't seen Princess Leia in 6 months. You're telling me you can't notice that very particular stank from across the room? Don't believe it.
I didn't watch the original trilogy in Smell-O-Vision, so I'll take your word for it. But
Such a fake fan, Corey.
hey, I'm just here for the views.
Fair enough. These are basically just long videos we don't need to edit, so.
No script. Well, actually, spend more time on the notes for these than scripting, and the end result is just a bunch of tangents.
I love how one of the notes is hiding in egg chair.
That's what he was doing.
And
Plan to offer him Solo, hiding an egg chair, Millennium Falsehood. Millennium Falcon is better.
yeah. So let's talk about the plan. The Millennium.
We should raffle off rights to the script to the notes for each episode. That would be
Literally
our
no one would
$150
buy them.
Patreon.
Literally no one would buy them. I could give a handwritten version that we all signed, and maybe get $1.50 for it at a fan convention. When we get our Star Wars celebration panel with all the other podcasts.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Well,
Being called shills for this community, but don't even get an invite in galaxies.
listen, Corey, I've been busting my ass on this podcast.
Oh.
It took me 3 days to read this book. I've been busting my ass for 3 days.
God damn. Okay, if you could just stop swearing, please. Okay. That's my job.
Anyway, I'm just getting ready for Burial Cart later. Getting the vocal cords moist.
Yeah, so the great plan that the Rogue and Wraith squadron members come up with. Yeah, it's not even the 4 squads. It's just Rogue and Wraith get to decide what everyone does. This is a definite problem.
And everyone else dies too. It's like we lost all of Polearm Squadron. Great job, guys.
It was too hard to remember their names. I didn't want to write them anymore. They're gone.
The intro was getting too long.
Dramatis Personae takes up the first 150 pages as he exhaustively lists all 240 fighter pilots. But they decide that the best way to handle luring out Zinj is by trying to trick him into thinking that Han Solo is out and about on the Millennium Falcon, kind of the same way that Runt and Cal did. And I forget what the name of that squad was at the time, but Runt gets very indignant about it, and it was a kind of a great moment.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sad I can't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the things that makes Ellasar so much worse, is that Runt has those moments of over-the-top weirdness, but it's actually funny.
Yeah.
And then Ellasar just kind of says something douchey.
He's just like that, like... I like the spork guy, like, like...
Dinner Squadron, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Just, like, edgy and, like, weird to be weird. Like...
Yeah.
Making dragon noises and stuff.
He's just overcompensating because when you have Wraith Squadron tell you, "Are you really weird enough to be part of us?" What are you gonna do? You're gonna overcompensate like that. Yep. So I can't hold it against him.
I can, but whatever.
But yeah, so Han spins around, like, "I love the plan," and everyone's shocked.
And everyone's like, "God damn it,
I don't know why
Han,
he's Richard Nixon now.
I love the plan. I don't remember Han using any racial slurs, so he doesn't sound.
He actually basically does in the next scene when he's asking Wedge how he feels about Twi'leks. So let's.
Yeah, fair enough.
Put a hold on that there, Justin.
Damn, he is Richard Nixon.
I've been putting all the spy equipment in.
Keep going.
I don't know. It's really just a bad impression of Billy West doing Richard Nixon.
At the end where he lets what's her name go, Gara go, just because he likes her, that's a very Nixonian thing to do.
Yeah. I like how there's that like comms officer, I guess he would be. It's like, oh, it's Garrett Petithal. No, it's not. Yes, it is, guys. Like, look, it's there.
99.
No, listen. No.
It's like, I'll send Chewbacca up there and.
Are we clear?
God damn, I guess so.
But yeah, they're gonna make a fake Millennium Falcon, and they decide that the best way to buy a rundown version of a YT-1300, which you have to assume are fairly cheap, is to trade a fully stocked TIE Interceptor with a hyperdrive to this like junkyard dealer on Corellia, basically.
Which, by the way, they hadn't even been using in battle, I don't think. There's been like Face is like, I really am uncomfortable with the fact that if I get shot once, I'm dead. And Wedge is like, well, that's all we got to do. Like, we got to go with what we have. And he's like, well, we got this shielded TIE Interceptor right over there. Wedge is like, you never know.
No. We're going to sell that for something much worse.
It's like, hot date later. Well, and it's like, it also has a hyperdrive, which would be like incredibly useful because like the X-Wings can like do strike missions. Like they can jump away from their carriers and do missions. The TIE Interceptors can't do that.
Yeah. Like they even mentioned it in the book, like this is a really bad trade we've made. It's like, well, actually, we didn't just trade it for this piece of crap. We traded it for a chance to strike at Zinj. It was like, yeah, that's great, but you could have also traded something worth less to do that.
Or you could have just flown over and grabbed the Millennium Falcon from Hapes. It's like it's in Leia's Star Destroyer. Like, just use the real Millennium Falcon.
Or just tell the New Republic, hey, you've given me all these capital ships for this small price. I could, or like they've got to have a freighter they can appropriate from somewhere.
Yeah.
Without trading like a really good starfighter for.
Agreed.
Especially when they're talking about how like they can't even replace the X-Wings that are damaged or lost. So just keep that fighter on hand.
Yeah, it's like all they're doing is hunting down like the largest, most important warlord there is right now. Like, give them some goddamn resources, please.
Yeah, and you don't sell that much of like high-tech military equipment to that junk dealer.
Yeah.
This is like if the United States military needed a Ford Fiesta for some reason, but a really bad one, and they took a like fully kitted out tank, traded it to some junk dealer, and like, well, we needed this car. It's like, great, you needed the car, you also need the tank.
Now this guy owns Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It makes absolutely no sense.
You know what also doesn't make sense? We're 3 books. We just read 3 Wraith Squadron books. We didn't get a single use of the word Tapcaf.
That's true.
You know,
I was also tracking like mentions of odds, and it came up twice in this book where I think Wedge and Han both said it would be really stupid for me to care about odds right now, even though I'm Corellian. It's like, damn, you really going to do that to Stackpole?
Yeah, you playing Stackpole like that big time.
Maybe it wasn't a great working relationship. Maybe that's why we don't see too much about it.
You know what else we don't see? One of my favorite characters in the Rogue Squadron books. One of my favorite tertiary characters, Zray. He's the Verpine like maintenance guy. Well,
we don't even get Cubber Dane anymore, though.
Oh, that's right, we don't. Well, doesn't
he's like he's mentioned as being on the Fokin at some point.
But Zray's not even there because at one point, remember, they summon the Twi'lek, who's like the maintenance chief for the rogues. Like, what about Zray? Like Zray was the one painting the X-Wings like every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if if he got a promotion.
He's a bug. What? How do you promote a bug?
Okay, that's racist.
The Swarm War changed me, man. It's not my fault.
But yeah, like, Cover gets mentioned, Zray doesn't, but we don't get any like actual screen time for cover.
Mm-hmm.
Like every secondary and tertiary character gets kind of thrown out except for Squeaky.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
We get Squeaky's quest for Chewbacca's approval, where you
Yeah.
think like they hate each other at first, but then at one point Chewbacca says like "good job" to him, and Squeaky just basically falls in love. It was pretty good.
It's the same with kind of Chewie in 3PO. Like Chewie pretends to be annoyed by 3PO all the time, but then like he's the only one trying to put them back together.
Yeah.
We don't really see M-Tray, do we?
He gets mentioned as like a possibility to come along on the trip with them or on the Falcon.
Yeah.
Falsehood.
Mm-hmm.
But because he loses that, he doesn't show up anymore.
Right.
I think he's also mentioned as being like instrumental in being able to get the YT-1300.
Right, because they mentioned that he used to be better, but they took some of his protocols away.
Yeah.
Rip.
But so maybe that's why they got such a crap deal on the YT-1300.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to do it anymore.
They should have just stole one. Like, seriously, just steal one.
Well, Zinj's whole thing is that he's good with intel. So you'd think that this shielded interceptor would come up on his radar as private ownership on Corellia when he's looking into these YT-1300s. Like he should see this coming.
He claims to be good at intel. He's kind of shit though.
Well, he lets Gera onto the ship with a good reason to.
Yeah.
She has shown time and time again to be reliable.
Yeah, of course. She's never double-crossed or not responded to his call or anything like that, so.
She's never been complicit in the murder of two of his agents.
Yeah.
When she could have just as easily killed Min.
But she likes him. She wants to kiss him.
Oh. Well, eventually. But at first he doesn't. And he doesn't listen.
But he's still forceful. Doesn't fly in 2019. Do they end up together?
Yeah, they have kids. And
ooh.
Yeah. In Mercy Kill, they get mentioned once again. Where she disappears after this, sends the message back to the fleet. They pass it to Donos, and he goes and lives with her on Corellia.
Corellia is not really the kind of place where I would like lay low. It's like, unless she's in one of the Solonian sex pits. It is no wait. Is it? It is the Solonians that have sex pits, right?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I just roleplay as one, but not in that way.
I find that really hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that the line's never been crossed, Corey.
Look, the streams are out there for all of our role-playing sessions.
All of them?
All of them are appropriate. Yes. I don't roll for that kind of initiative.
That's why I gotta change my goddamn YouTube picture. Everyone's like, "Are you a furry?" Like,
I think this has come up every single episode of the podcast. So,
and I'm like,
it
no,
seems to really be bothering you.
It does bother me.
Now you're just trying to project onto me.
Oh, I just remembered. I was looking through my notes. The part where Netburz is killed is pretty brutal because it's like he felt something in his neck explode. Like,
yeah,
he throws him against a wall and his neck just like
he feels his shoulder blade break and stuff goes into his neck, and then he gets thrown against the other wall and the rest of him breaks.
Classic.
But yeah, that's actually the next mission. So I guess we'll get to there.
The missions in this kind of to me at least, like it's hard to remember the difference. No, I'm not a furry video. I'm not.
The people listening to the podcast for this are going to be very confused about you yelling at a video that you're not a furry. Like, you're the one that clicked on the link. I don't know what to tell you.
It's a guy's name in the chat. Didn't click any links. Corey, you're not helping.
I don't want to. But yeah, so we get a quick scene after this where Han is asking Wedge how he feels about Twi'leks. Wedge says he trusts them all with his life, the ones in Rogue and Wraith Squadron. There's, I think, 4 active duty pilots, or 3 active duty pilots, plus Noir Ven, plus the maintenance guy, in Rogue Squadron that we just talked about, and Wedge thinks he's got nothing to worry about. Little does he know.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a scene with Doctors Bress and Gast, and Gast is like the worst person ever.
Yeah.
Where Zinj is trying to figure out what they know, but gets Gast on board. She shoots the other doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
She gets her just desserts in the end, though.
yeah, that is fantastic.
She kind of
what
gets
the Warlord
Inglorious
does.
Bastards.
Yeah, so she ends up in the next raid on Saflor where Rogue and Wraith are working together to break into the facility where Piggy was raised, where all the experiments on non-humans are happening, and Zinj is carrying out a lot of the stuff that he's using for projects Minefield and
It's like Funeral. Yeah, and there's another one too.
Yeah, I can never remember which one is which. But Zinj, anything he's doing with non-humans basically happens there.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the talk about Lieutenant Ketch, the fake Ewok pilot, he's actually going forward with that secretly on
Probably
Iron
because
Fist.
like it was my understanding that he probably was doing that after he heard of
Yeah.
Catch, right? Okay.
Yeah, he was trying to recreate this because like Carrigan, Face as Carrigan had told him about Ketch, and he just wanted to see if it was possible. But yeah, they actually did it. But that was on Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
So that was after Gast had started moving a lot of the labs up, because
Mm-hmm.
they had turned the facility on Saflor into a giant trap. There, the rogues and wraiths are setting up to go into there. That's when they have another meeting where Face isn't using his resources properly. But then they kind of use a fake meteor shower to get into the system, which seems like the kind of thing that the system should have data on.
Yeah, agreed. It's like,
But
do they not watch the sky?
they have space travel, but they're not aware of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, also don't really get the. I feel like they could have snuck in better ways, but I guess they do that because they need the fighter support, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because like they end up using the X-wings to like do a strike on the town. So
yeah. Because the wraiths are supposed to be the ground team, and then you have the coming in as the air support, and it was going to be great, but they're not able to really contact the wraiths until much later.
Yeah.
But this is when
every one of these books has
Donna,
like a mission like this where they have to sneak
Yeah.
into some facility. All the Wraith Squadron books, anyway. It's like whether they sneak in one to get the TIE fighters or the TIE interceptors. They're just always doing shit like this.
Yeah, I think this was actually the best
I enjoyed
of
this
them.
one, yeah.
But before it is when Donos realizes that he's in love with Lara and kisses her, even though she's like, "No,
Don't kiss me.
stop, don't come near me.
Yeah, like
This is creepy."
yeah. Then she like pushes him away and like never touch me again. And he's like walking away whistling. Like
Yeah, that
big yikes. He's not gonna be whistling when he's brought up in front of the Human Rights Commission of the New Republic.
Yeah, like it works for Donos because he is not works for Donos. I mean, like as a thing that is written for a character to do, it because Donos is like just entirely broken.
Yeah.
But don't want to get anyone to have the idea here that what he did is in any way how you should proceed with life.
It also has the kind of thing where, like, it's like the woman saving the broken man. You know, it's kind of like it's kind of like a meme at this point. Like,
yeah, I can fix you, even though she doesn't
Yeah.
want to be anywhere near you, and she has very good reasons to not want to be anywhere near you.
like you almost killed somebody. Like, chill.
Yeah.
And that was her too.
We start getting more about Tyria's Force sense too.
Yeah, I like that. I
where-
thought it was cool.
Yeah, where she kind of figures out that they've turned the whole facility into
She's just like
a trap for them.
and she just like senses like dread coming from it as well because it's like horrific experiments and stuff being done there. So she's just like getting sick to her stomach and whatnot.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And Face decides based on that to switch her and Lara's positions in the scenes where Lara was originally supposed to be inside and Tyria was supposed to be on the roof with Donos watching her. And is that Targon as well?
Yeah, it's Targon.
So the other team's inside, We get to explore the base a bit. They almost die from an incinerator.
Yeah, pretty terrible.
We talked about a lot of that. That's when Netbers breaks and Jansen feels like or seems like he was dead. Yeah, that's probably a sound that someone heard at that.
Yeah, that's what
Great,
the
thank you.
audiobook would use.
Did you listen to the audiobook this time or
I listened to like
not
an
at
hour
all?
of it. I didn't get to finish the thing,
Hmm.
so that's like a third of it.
Uh, so yeah, after that, Face and Wedge have a debriefing.
Mm-hmm.
Face feels okay about the mission. What do you think about Face's progression through the books? Because this is really one of the last times we hear from Face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like in this book, he's kind of dropped the whole blame for because the last book, I don't know. He kind of has some characters blame themselves for things that they should, like Gara or whoever she wants to call herself. She blamed herself for murdering 11 people plus. Min, blamed himself for letting his squad die. Everyone has their problems. His is basically just that he accidentally helped the Empire when he was a kid,
Yeah.
which is like interesting. But by this point, he's kind of part of it is the fact that Ton is dead. He's a lot more serious. He's a lot less joking, but he still doesn't really get the intricacies of command. But I guess he does a good job of like listening to his subordinates and like taking their advice, their sage counsel into consideration.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that like right before the mission, one of the last things we have Wedge say to him about it is like, "You're not using your resources well,"
Mm-hmm.
and then the mission almost goes to shit, and then it's like, "Yeah, I feel okay about this," which like his explanation for it works, but it just seems like a weird place to kind of end his story.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially when you get the stuff that happens with Min later. Like you'd think that would involve some sort of leadership stepping up from Face afterwards if Min was going to be reintegrated.
Yeah.
But we never hear how Face feels about getting almost blown up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, a lot of problems like these missions, like they don't really feel like accomplishment. The only thing that you really feel happening, I guess this one they do capture the scientist, but otherwise it's just like they managed to take down a couple of ships or whatever.
Yeah.
At least for this book, was one of the problems I had. This isn't anywhere near like it's not as meandering as like Krytos Trap is or anything, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, like the big win in this book is that they think they destroyed Iron Fist, but they've actually just destroyed the ship they destroyed at the end of the last book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we go from that to the Justifet battle.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about is the way because we learn a bit more. You mentioned this last. Oh, almost dropped my Kindle. You mentioned this a bit last episode about like how Zinj portrays himself like he's fat and he's got a mustache and whatnot. It says something about like how here I got the thing right here. He was not a tall man, nor was he physically impressive. He was as round as any merchant Gorman, and his exaggerated bandit-style mustachios suggested that his self-image was quite different from the image he projected, which I think is a nice, like, it kind of, that's what you think anyways, because the white Grand Admiral's uniform he wore, blah, 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 blah. Only he knew how many of these attributes were affection or affectations, false clues to persuade his enemies and superiors and subordinates to come to incorrect conclusions about him. So he basically has set himself up to be underestimated. I just like imagine him like eating like a roast beef sandwich and like purposefully like squirting a bit of mustard on his Grand Admiral's uniform.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because he tries to set himself up as someone who you're supposed to think cares about image, but doesn't care about image. Like there's like 3 layers of basically the Princess Bride, if you've ever seen that, the iocane powder game with the Zini, where it's like, of course you would want me to think that but you would know that I would know that you're not to put that. Exactly. A smart man would never put but like Zinj is kind of doing that for a few different layers where he's presenting himself as this person who's going to be underestimated using the higher class whatever, like Grand Admiral's uniform,
which how to even find. He's a large man.
Well, he's got a custom, I'm sure he has a tailor.
Yeah, I guess.
But then you have like the layer where it's, oh, how much of this is a front? How much does he know is a front? So does he actually care about the appearances, or does he want you to think he cares about the appearances? But when he's losing at Vahaba, I think it's Vahaba, it might be at Salagas already, but where he is like having uh, a sincere kind of breakdown,
Yeah.
or is emotionally distraught about the fact that not just that he's losing Iron Fist, but that his reputation as someone who is impossible
Yeah.
to beat on the battlefield is going to be gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but he doesn't really show. I don't think he shows enough competence to back that up. You know what I mean? For me, like what he does really well is building like his financial empire and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
more so than actually combat. Um, because he gets his butt. Like he doesn't inflict that much damage to Solo Command.
Yeah.
I don't think he takes down a single capital ship.
No, like he's always presented as being good because he's able to pick
The
the
battlefield.
battlefield really well, and then he
Mm-hmm.
has all these other innovations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like you're supposed to assume from that that's how he's expanded his territory.
Right.
But every time we see him in a battle, he's either losing or running.
Playing very conservatively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I guess we do get the one battle. I think that's the Levian raid, where he does beat back Han. But I mean, he also has an SSD, so how much is he
He's
really
got a
accomplishing?
huge advantage there. That's where like Hannes like blasts through. He's got like 3 fleets worth of ships.
Yeah, and still doesn't destroy anything really.
Right.
Like he gets an ion shot off on one of the
Mm-hmm.
fighter pilots or one of the wraiths, and that's it.
Part of that's the fact that the Mon Ramonda is basically written to be like a Jesus ship in this.
Yeah,
It doesn't have like a proper classification or anything, but it's like their strongest Mon Cal cruiser at this point.
yeah,
Like it broadsides the Super Star Destroyer a few times, and
and that's supposed to be like, I guess, putting it up, probably presumed to have been above Home One size and or Home
yeah,
One class in size, because they mentioned like the one of
Mon
the
Karen.
MC-80s,
Yeah,
yeah, going under its belly for
yeah,
protection.
yeah,
So there's the impression that Mon Ramonda is bigger than it actually ends up being as an MC-80B,
yeah.
and this is when Iron Fist was assumed to be 7 kilometers
Mm-hmm. So
instead
it's a
of
bit more
19.
realistic.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, the 19 kilometers with like the size of it's like you think they always talk about 2 kilometer long targeting ranges in this. That means you
yeah,
can't hit the bridge of of a Super Star Destroyer until you're like, you know, almost the entire way down. You know.
yeah, and like they kind of stick to that with the fighters,
Yeah.
and they talk about something with a 1 kilometer range for engagement with capital ships too, and it's like even within the scope of the book, there's like that's shorter than most ships. This
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I guess we skipped over Mon Mothma's assassination attempt.
Oh yeah. The funny part of that is like she spends the like 10 minutes before that happens, like thinking about how ugly one of her.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that is one of my only notes on my phone while I was reading the book the first time. I was like, God, she's just laying into this guy, and then he's dead.
Did you read the book twice, Corey?
Well, I read the book once, and then to make the notes, I skim through.
I asked this to you before. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's like he would have been very homely without his beard. I was like, Jesus.
He wasn't even particularly competent. He could just remember things. So Mon Mothma kept him
You're
around.
a mean bitch, Mom.
Yeah, she's just horrible in this.
Also, it's what the third character now with like a savant style memory. We've got Winter. We've got what's his name? The Imperial from the first one.
Yeah, Curtin.
Yeah, Curtin Lore. No, this guy. Classic Star Wars characters having weird traits like that. I'm sure there's more too.
I like how she's got the person like, oh, I need a moment of your time. I need to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna have to remember this? What?
like relax on the coffee. Like we get it. You're tired. Okay.
She doesn't even say hi to the other guy. It's like,
Yeah.
hey Mothma, this is your thing for the day. Do you think I care about my schedule when I haven't had my coffee yet?
Like Jesus, lady, chill out.
I want to
Like,
speak to your manager.
you can make your own coffee. Like goddamn chief of state. Call Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber. He'll heat it up for you.
There has to be a Jedi who's done that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just stick.
I like the sound effect.
There for when the video goes up, you can actually see me sticking the yeah, there's sound, there's movement, but I realized I'm not actually showing video to anyone right now, so there's nothing for that.
How embarrassing.
Uh, just a fit.
Which one is that again?
That is where uh,
Oh, that's where they
Taldira
turn.
is told that Wedge hops on one leg. And how could Wedge hop on one leg?
Yeah,
He's
he just
supposed to be an honorable man.
he just gets so goddamn heated about it in his brain. He's just like sitting there fuming over the fact that Wedge hops on one leg. That was kind of weird. Like the whole, it makes Zinj have a very powerful weapon.
I actually like how that was done. I don't like that it was
Done off
uh
screen.
yeah, like we're just supposed to accept that it's happened to basically every Twi'lek everywhere.
Right. But like,
Because they got access to inject them or whatever they do, and then they got access to
how did
activate
they
them.
inject them though? Like, do we know?
They must have like captured Taldira and Neuro,
Uh-huh.
and I guess they weren't able to get to Nawara
Mm-hmm.
because any sadness I had that Taldira was dead and that Tyria had to blow up another friend
Mm-hmm.
was just over. Uh, Overshadowed by my relief that Nawara was fine.
Oh yes.
Nawara is just the best.
Yeah, Noir is the best Twi'lek. Twi'lek.
Because he's offering a deal to Gast, who gets captured during the
Mm-hmm.
Saflor raid.
Yeah.
And I kind of do you want to just resolve that plot?
Yeah. So basically, he's offering a deal. I forget. Basically, he wants to know how that project works. Murphy, shut up, bud. How that project works and how I think the other ones work. And Murphy, can you shut up? Sorry, my dog is over here snoring, and it's really rude. And it in exchange, she wants 1,000,000 credits, I think, and basically just a new life. And the New Republic's like, we'll give you 500 or 250,000 or something because we're not making you rich. And they drop her off on Coruscant. I think it's Coruscant. And she gets
Yeah, they pretend they kind of set it up as if she died in an assault during this battle, so no one knows she's alive except for Nawara.
yeah. Which
And
I don't think
Nawara
was I don't think that was planned though. Like
no, they just took advantage of that as
yeah.
like a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when they're dropping her off on Coruscant at the end of the book, they're like, "Do you want Imperial credits or Republic credits?" And she's like, "Well, she's an Imperial." So she's like, "Yeah, obviously Imperial." Like bullshit ass Republic credits.
And she's just insulting Nawara the whole time
yeah,
for being subhuman scum,
yeah,
basically.
she's really a nasty lady. And then when she's going through customs, basically at Coruscant, they're like, "Hey, what's this bag?" And she's like, "Well, it's my bag full of money." And they're like, "These are Imperial credits." And I forget what the charge is, sedation or something weird.
Or at first the guy who works at customs is like, we've got you for smuggling now. That's the only purpose. Is Nawara like actually?
Yeah,
It's treason or sedition.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's way worse than that. So she's seeing 25 to life. Basically, it was her own fault too. She spits on Nawara as she's being dragged away, which was not very cash money of her.
Nothing's very cash money of her anymore. It's all gone.
That's true. That is true.
I just loved that whole
it was cool. She was funny because she was very like self-serving as well, and she kind of like she shoots the other doctor at the very beginning when she's introduced.
All she had to say was that she wanted New Republic credits, and she would have been fine. But Nawara
would have found something to get her with.
Nawara doesn't play any games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a big ball move by Nawara. I don't know what Twi'leks have going on down there, but
presumably it's similar to whatever humans have going on, considering the number of relationships that seem to go all right and have babies out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Jason from New Canon. Jason
from New Canon. The family that
the clone
Reese goes to, they're not his kids, but they are hybrid between. I did a video on that. Got so many comments saying that they're actually not the clones, and I never said they were the clones' kids. This is really something that eats away at me. This and Yaddle.
What did you say
Where
about Yaddle?
Well, I did a video about how a lot of the Jedi over the prequel movies because of like out of universe reasons where they couldn't get the actors and actresses.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that Yaddle was one of the ones that stopped showing up after episode 1, and that I wasn't sure what the production reason for it was, and it might have just been that they didn't want to have it interfering with Yoda. It might have been that they wanted to have all the Jedi fighting in the arena, and they didn't want to overshadow Yoda's later fighting by showing Yaddle jumping around like that.
That makes sense.
And so I got so many comments of like, well, actually, in one of the young adult series, Yaddle dies.
Oh yes, that's why.
It's like, yeah, that is the in-universe justification they came up for later, but that book came out after Attack of the Clones, and that's what I'm talking about. Why did they need to come up with that rationalization?
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my Star Wars therapy for the day. I should have gone to my squad mates first and told.
You should have, yeah. I don't give a shit.
I'm sorry. Oh man.
No, I'm your wingman, aren't I?
Yeah, I guess I'm following the Wedge Antilles approach to therapy.
Yep. We'll have a whole episode about YouTube shenanigans someday.
And then we'll end our careers.
Oh, I wonder if it's the same person. I encountered somebody who said, what's it called? In Fate of the Jedi with that Saba murdered Kenneth Hamner. I met somebody on my YouTube videos because I did a video about it. Was very, very insistent that it was murder.
Probably the same person.
Which I thought was funny.
But yeah, so Corran Horn blows up Taldira, who is trying to kill Wedge for hopping on one leg. But Taldira is not willing to shoot anyone but Wedge, which I feel like is a weird part. I guess they didn't have powerful enough mind messing.
Well, he thinks Wedge is like a traitor.
Yeah.
So like they're operating within his existing kind of mental state, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he could have just made it so that like anyone who's protecting Wedge is also a traitor.
Yeah.
But seems like that would have been more effective than have Taldira blow up everyone. But
in the end, he kind of breaks his breaks his mind, like his whatever the thing they're doing to him, because he puts his rear shields off or his forward shields off, and similar to what's his name in one of the X-Wing books.
Taldira?
No, the guy who's captured. Remember? Who was it again?
In which?
It was Yella's husband. Remember?
Oh, Derek. Yeah.
Because remember, he does something too to break his programming kind of at the end.
Yeah, where he was like sort of fulfilling it, but he ends up like shooting Lore instead.
Yeah.
Like putting himself in a situation where he wouldn't be able to fulfill his programming's requirements.
Right. So it's kind of like that.
Similar.
Yeah.
Where Tyria gets to like go and chase Neuro alone. Corran blows up Taldira.
Mm-hmm.
So both of the Force sensitives.
I like that too, because Corran detects it right before it happens. Kind of.
And does Tyria sense Neuro's weirdness, or is that when he's like flying directly at the bridge and then she senses it?
I don't remember, to be honest.
This is where the bridge gets blown out.
Yeah, it's one shot of like a not even like I don't even think it's a torpedo. It's just like he shoots it with his cannons.
Yeah.
Like,
I was expecting the way they resolved that being like, and then the shields went down, or not like the shield, but like some sort of window shield goes down and closes over, which you'd think they'd have. Right. They're just having like plexiglass be all that's standing there with no fail safes.
Yeah, that's like, it's like people say, oh, well, in Star Wars, actually, they're made out of transparent steel, so the windows are just as strong, in fact, as the rest of the ship. Yet, despite the fact in Revenge of the Sith, what does General Grievous do when he wants to escape the ship? He busts through the window. It's clearly like, easier to bust through a window than... So there should be some sort of failsafe in place.
Yeah, it's just have something that like closes down over over the window, kind of like the hangar doors.
Yeah, and I think
That's all
that's
you
even
need.
what happened. Isn't that what happens in episode 3 too? When Grievous pops out the window, doesn't I don't remember, but yeah.
But instead, he almost pulls Last Jedi Leia,
Yeah.
and Onama and Han manage to pull themselves out with Chewie's help.
Yeah.
Uh,
The rest
if
of
you,
the crowd got just sucked into space for a terrible decompression death.
I think actually a lot of them got out. Like there was only
Yeah, there's
one
like
person
only
they
one or two.
name,
Yeah,
and then
it's like the censor board guy died. Damn, who's gonna read my Snapchats now?
at the end of the book when they're talking about the transmission that Lara sends, like, would you like what happened to the last one?
I might forget to put the shields down or put the shields up next battle. You never know.
Threatening them with gross incompetence.
Yep.
Uh,
So next we have like the stellar web because Zinj just keeps getting away. They like, because they still fight on the battle after that whole thing. But Zinj gets away and they keep almost getting Zinj. They do a little bit of damage. They get through the shields even of the SSD, but they can't do a killing blow. So they reach out to Terran. It's Terran Rogris of the Imperial. Well, not the Remnant at this point, just the Empire. And he agrees that he doesn't really lend them the stellar web because he's not like letting the New Republic crew it. He like sends the ship over under like his command.
yeah, he's actually switched his flag to that.
Yeah.
Like the idea that they should work together comes from him
Yeah.
after that raid.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's later for like Bahaba and Salagas that they send Face back to talk to him after Face was the one that did the initial meet with him.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, he wants to talk to Wedge or Han, but we're gonna send Face
Yeah.
because
He recognizes his face too, which is kind of funny.
Rogers is not bad.
I like him. He was a good character.
Yeah, and we see more of him in Starfighters of Adamar.
Oh, okay.
Where that's kind of him and Wedge, their story.
Right.
But at this point in the book, there's just a lot of the build up for the final confrontation where they meet Rogris, they start working together, at least trading some information. Yep. The rogues and wraiths try to have a brainstorming session on what's going on with the Twi'leks, and they successfully figure it out. Wedge sends a transmission to Aaron Kraken with their theories, saying that look for Bothans or Celestians that are going to.
Kraken is like, it do be like that.
Why doesn't Wedge come work for me?
Yeah, Wedge is like, this whole book's just like Wedge is like could be doing way more important stuff. He's basically like made a completely successful arm of the New Republic right now.
And then we get a little bit about the creation of the Millennium Falsehood. Falsehood.
It's just like Chewie. It's just like Chewie down there working on it by himself.
Yeah. They get the around this time. Yeah, they get you get another great scene between Zinj and Malvar, who to be in some sort of in-universe sitcom. But they're setting up the Millennium Falsehood. Zinj and Malvar are setting up Second Death, so they're each setting up their fake contraptions there.
Yeah.
But now it's time for morale building. So everyone gets drunk and loses their minds.
Except for the cafeteria workers.
Rank badges. Yeah, they've got a... Well, Wedge and Han or not Wedge, and one who looks like Wedge and one who looks like Han are very insistent that the astromechs need to relax too.
I like that.
But they just get them to serve drinks and run races.
Yeah, but the astromechs seem to be down with it. Like they're having fun, and at one point they're like, because at one point all the astromechs are like huddled in a corner, just like chatting. I'd always have a soft spot for astromechs. To me, they're kind of like almost like a dog, like there's just something really cute about them. Like at one point, I like how what's her name hugs her astromech too. It's like her best friend. I was like, I get it. Like it's like I like the scene in the episode 7 where like Luke's watching his academy burn down. He puts his hand on like R2. It's like, yeah.
And you get drunk Corin yelling about how great Whistler is.
Oh yeah, that part is really funny. He's just like Whistler
Set
could
up some
take.
obstacles. I told you could do it.
I love that. It's just like they're all like really proud of their own astromech, and like Whistler's around for a while. Like I'm pretty sure he's pretty heavily into iJedi, but so he's like Corn's like actual bro because he's been with him forever. He's got like messages from like his dad and who knows whatever else on there.
Yeah, a lot of the that's how a lot of the prequel stuff gets tied in with the later EU stuff, where some of
Right.
the books were written beforehand
Yeah.
with all these messages from earlier, but then it's the books that were written afterwards, like the
Swarm War.
Fate of the
We
Jedi
get
and Swarm War. Yeah, we
we
get
get the thing with Luke finding out about Order 66 and Swarm War. I think.
yeah, because
Or
no one ever wiped R2's memory, just 3PO's.
yeah, because there's that random. Which book is it that has Luke off to find his so-called mother among the fallen Aussie, and like that might have been compelling back then, but then it's like
Was that
now.
like Children of the Jedi or something?
I think it's
Or
the
in that trilogy?
yeah, I think it's the third book in that trilogy. I can't remember,
Mhm.
but like back then maybe it was compelling because no one knew who like Padme was,
Yeah.
but now we know. And then like yeah, by Swarm War episode 3 came out, so there's like a whole part of that book of Luke unlocking like R2's hidden memories or whatever, and then
Yeah.
from
There was
that
no more like you have to be mysterious about this because it
right,
was all out.
right, which was I don't know, it's kind of interesting that they had to do that, but you
Hmm.
can certainly tell a more cohesive story now. Could tell a more
Yeah.
cohesive story.
Uh, when was I Jedi out? I think that was. It wasn't actually that long after the X-wing
I'm
stuff,
not
was it?
sure. Um,
I actually just got it.
it's a big book.
That is true.
I Jedi was 98, so
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So they might have had some of the information for episode one by then.
Probably not. No, I
Hmm.
wouldn't think they had very much.
Well, at least beats. When did episode one
Episode
come
one
out
was
in 99?
yeah, it was 99.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess they wouldn't necessarily have tied in with
because like
Gallery that
the
much. But
audiobooks for like Vector Prime has a advertisement for.
right.
Have you ever speaking of have you ever seen the TV commercial for Vector Prime?
I think I have.
It's just like Luke narrating over some still images.
Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah, that
faced the
sounds right.
emperor. I faced great evils. It's like, but now I've got a challenge that will shake the galaxy to its core. It's just
We're
like
gonna drop a moon on Chewbacca.
he did one too for Fate of the Jedi, one of the Fate of the Jedi books. I never realized until recently.
Was it Mark Hamill?
I don't know if it was Mark Hamill who did. I just meant there was a Fate of the Jedi trailer as
Yeah.
well.
I figure you could probably get like Billy D. Williams to do it, but
Oh, for sure,
uh,
for sure you could.
but yeah. So after the dance, that's when the Celestian raid fails and Kraken gets the Wedge message.
Mm.
But then we get the raid on Kidriff, which is where Face has gotten his email with the information that he'd requested about Laura's background and Adalia Monothere, and puts it together that uh, that she is an Imperial agent or a former Imperial agent. So this battle is where they have their uh, the showdown within Wraith Squadron,
Right.
where first Face is talking to Wedge and then to
He hits
Lara.
reply all
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much. Just that's what puts it all into action. Was he means to calm Lara that she's under arrest privately, but he's still on the all squad channel.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's funny because I can
and
totally imagine that's like the most realistic thing that happens in these books. It's
yeah,
like you screw up what you're talking to.
like just puts in the wrong Facebook Messenger conversation.
Corey's such a loser. Oh, I mean the other Corey. Corey.
Oh. Uh, but yeah, so Wedge is like, yeah, you don't think you could have handled that better, but Min hears that she's Garapetathol and just loses it.
Yeah.
and starts flying around trying to kill Lara. Face gets between them, and Min shoots his proton torpedo,
Hmm.
but detonates it before it collides with Face. That was like the one thing that saved him, even though Face got like
He
seriously
like
injured.
yeah, and he doesn't even really remember doing it. It's just like
He claims he doesn't remember
yeah,
doing it.
true.
Wedge kind of gets at the like, do you actually, or are you trying to like shirk responsibility like you do for everything?
Yeah, true.
Uh, and we've already talked a lot about all that. So do you want to just talk about what Gara gets up to after this? She
Oh yeah,
hyperspaces away when she's supposed to be flying back to the ship,
yeah. So
knowing
she
that she's
basically
not
gets
getting
put
out.
under arrest, and she's like, nah, and she jumps. And I don't know. I think when she jumps, he's really not sure about what she's going to do.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
then she eventually decides. So she jumps to the Iron Fist. She kind of like defects. She like has kind of like a little bit of a breakdown with all her personalities colliding and stuff. And then she eventually, I think after she gets in the Iron Fist, she's like, no, I'm with the Rogues or the Wraiths.
no, I think she'd already decided she wasn't like actually going to be
Oh,
Imperial
okay.
anymore.
I
So she
must have missed
decided
that.
that the best way to be who she thought she wanted to be was to just destroy Zinj.
Gotcha.
Because like she's very clear with Face, like I have never broken faith with the Wraiths.
Hmm.
She had considered like just living on her own, but then
Okay, I must have misread
the
that. That makes sense.
yeah, it's supposed to be like she's decided she can't live a normal life. She has to kill Zinj. It's probably going to kill her, and the best way she can do that is by getting back into her role as Gara and infiltrating from the outside.
Hmm.
Uh, but if she had just not jumped at that point, like if she hadn't left, she says it's like, oh, well, one of your officers has already fired on me. I don't trust that it won't happen
Yeah.
again, is her excuse for leaving. But did you buy that?
I think her other excuse was that even if that isn't the case, then I'll have to be court-martialed, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
never fly again anyway. And I do think that that's right because she only really gets free because at the end because Wedge doesn't turn her in.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think I buy that.
Well, Wedge and Han are talking about it like the stuff that she's done, even though it was to help us, she did give away military secrets after she'd been
Yeah,
put
exactly.
on, like after she'd been instructed to comply with orders. So I feel like if she had stayed, she probably could have been like they probably could have worked it out. Wedge at worst probably could have just tried to do the same thing that he did with
Hmm.
the plan to take down Repnus, where it's like, oh no, I already did this, but it was imperative for mission security that it not get out, and then try to play it off that way. But
Yeah. No.
she
No.
kind of like cuts off any chance of that happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know whether. Yeah. I. Yeah. I agreed. I don't know what would have happened. It's tough because she got 11 New Republic soldiers or 11 New Republic pilots killed. So like
Yeah,
that might be past the point where you can ignore. Even yeah, she probably made up for it, but and she was just doing her job, but she's still a traitor. Like at the end of the day.
well, she did that before she had left the Empire too, and there were
Yeah.
like
So I
they
guess she's
kind of cover it in previous stuff where like what you did as an Imperial. If they kicked people out for that, then half the New Republic military is probably gone.
that's true. She's like she took an active role, kind of against the New Republic, like from within as a member of the New Republic. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
know
the
if it
fact that
matters.
she didn't disclose that at first and had kind of
Exactly.
joined as a double agent, then decided to leave
Yeah.
and gave away their mission details to Zinj about some stuff from uh,
I mean, she certainly redeemed
that.
herself though, but like that's Han and Wedge's point. Like she definitely did redeem herself, um, especially when
Yeah,
they think she basically destroyed the Iron Fist.
yeah. So I guess really all that's left is her plan and the battles of
Hmm.
Vahaba and Cell, I guess, because we do get a few of the raids with the falsehood, but they're all fairly
Yeah, that's
similar,
pretty
and it's just
boring.
trying to lure Zinj out. There's a bit of stuff in there where we get the 181st and Tetran Cowl, but
Hmm.
that's also kind of tied into what Gara's doing. So
Yeah.
Gara's plan?
So Gara kind of like instigates a droid revolution on the ship. Not really a droid revolution, but she kind of brings. I quite like it because like kind of hints at like just the crazy amount of like shit that's needed to make a super star destroyer work. Like, so there's like thousands or tens of thousands of mouse droids on a super star destroyer. her and her astromech are basically just capturing them and putting them to work, like getting them in the hyperdrive, getting them like in passing messages and stuff. She's got like some really sophisticated systems where she can like access her astromech from her workstation and stuff. It's pretty crazy. And eventually she gets taken on by the 181st as well, but she helps predict where Han and the rest of Solo Command will be next. She passes that on to Zinj, but she also tells the New Republic that he knows. So basically, she's like saying, hey, there's going to be a battle here if you show up. Although they don't really find out till after the first one.
Yeah.
So they basically give him
they kind of run down a few different options for Tonin or R2 to do.
Yeah.
Where at one point, Gar like, can we even just make it self-destruct?
Yeah. And she's like, no, the computer's not that stupid. I feel like they could have done something.
Yeah.
Like hyperspace it into a star or something, or like.
Well, she almost does that where, for the Battle of Salagas and Vahaba, there's the initial battle at Vahaba where Zinj is supposed to be bringing in other battles from throughout his systems, and Gara and Tonin are able to get the data for that, and even though they can't change the jump without people noticing, what Tonin does is remove the data for Salagas from their archives, and if they're not in the archives, then it doesn't exist, as we know from episode 2.
Yeah.
And they kind of make it like jump either too far or not far enough into the system because they're pulled out from
stuck in the gravity well
from the star. Yeah.
It basically gives them like another shot.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder for Zinj's forces to organize after the Battle of Bahaba, where Han is like wrecked everything. All the fighters are just all over Iron Fist. They almost take down the engines, and then the mouse droids have taken down the hyperdrive. So Gara gives them like an extra hour at Salagas where they need to fix the hyperdrives. It ends up taking like 38 minutes, but that's a bunch of time that they had to.
And this is why I'm kind of frustrated with the book, because even all that notwithstanding, they still don't kill it.
Yeah.
And they should, because like Zinj is totally outplayed here. Like he gets outmaneuvered. Like New Republic starfighters are dominating the battle. The Mon Calamari cruisers are there. They've got an agent on the inside. Everything is going right, and it's still like just meh.
Yeah, like Gara has the best plan to infiltrate the SSD. Does get out with the actual Lieutenant Ketch and a bunch of their stuff, and then just decides to go to Corellia. Well, she decides to fly off and help in the battle.
Yeah,
and helps Wedge shoot down
fake Sunterfell.
Yeah, Tetran Cowell, fake actor and boyhood rival of Face Lauren.
Yeah,
but
I gotta say, it would have been nice if she had maybe goddamn killed Warlord Zinj on her way out.
Yeah, that would have been helpful. Or just like shot Melvar instead of like for some reason telling the aliens they need to take the moral high road here and let them blow up on the ship.
Just let them kill them, like. But yeah, also she should have probably recruited some of them too, if they're as good as Piggy is.
Well, at that point she thought she would either die in the battle, get killed by the rogues and wraiths, or leave. Yeah, she ended up choosing to leave, but I don't know how she got out of there.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I gotta say the fake fighter squadron is still pretty damn good. Because they challenge Rogue Squadron on a few occasions.
Yeah, they have really good pilots, and the droid pilots are the droid brains for them are really good. And they're packed with explosives. So like half of the 181st are real pilots. Half of the 181st are droid pilots that are filled with explosives that'll blow up everything in a 100-meter radius. So the idea is basically that they're going to get engaged with rogues or wraiths in a dogfight and then detonate and kill them all. It ends up not working, but
yeah, there's not bad pilots. I mean, he doesn't end up being Soontir doesn't end up being as good as Wedge, but also, you know what I remembered in the comics, It's General Som who disables Soontir. General Som in a Y-wing. I had that comic when I was a kid. He like disables Soontir's TIE interceptor.
When the New Republic captures him the first
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Which I thought was pretty cool because obviously he's pretty big in the first. I think he's mentioned the last book, but he's pretty big in the first few Rogue Squadron ones.
Yeah, like he was the main friend for the rogues with the Defender wing.
Frenemy, I would say.
Yeah.
In book 1, he's a frenemy.
Yeah, he doesn't like Wedge at all.
Say the word, Corey.
Doesn't.
Say frenemy.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to say frenemy. But yeah, very little actually ends up mattering in battle.
Yeah.
Where Zinj just throws away some of his forces that aren't going to show up in courtship.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the initial. They did have the battle with Rogris showing up. That's when they blow up like Serpent Smile, and Rogris does his maneuver that we already talked about, and Han's like, hey, you want to do this again sometime? And he says, sure.
Yeah.
But so to beat the 181st, Piggy figures out that he has a theory that they're possibly mechanical. So he gets the comm officers, which are Runt and Rogue 7 or something, Rogue 9.
Mm-hmm.
I forget who. And he just gets them to jam the comms, and the droids stop working. It's like blowing up the control ship over Naboo.
Which kind of offers like a realistic reason for why they're not used more frequently. See something Thrawn is kind of something similar in the Outbound flight, with like the he like learns the droid control schemes or the droid control like encryption from the Lucre Hulk, and then he like turns them off. Gaia.
He also figures out like the exact patterns they're gonna fly.
Yeah, he's like they can fly for like 30 minutes, and that part's really cool.
Guys, he welds them together and use them as bombs.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I kind of knew this episode would be a bit shorter because it's kind of like Krynos Trap, and that not that much happens other than we get some like two sides kind of rubbing up on each other. Curious to hear your overall review and where you'd rate it, though, Corey.
Yeah. So do you want to go through that email first, and I'll transfer over?
Oh, I didn't know we got an email. Let me just pull it up. Is it in the thing here?
Yeah, it's in the in the notes. I'm just gonna pull over our rankings from an episode.
Okay. Did you mean to cut the name off here?
It wasn't in the thing, but it's from Callum Svenwalker.
Oh, okay. So Callum says, "Hi Corey Neck. Here's a list of things I wrote down after listening to your last podcast on Iron Fist. One of the race squadron plans is literally the plot of one episode of the Clone Wars, Bound for Rescue. Do you remember that one, Corey?
I've actually not seen a large portion of the Clone Wars.
Bound for Rescue. Which one is that? Yeah, I've seen every episode. I'm kind of the same way. I've seen every episode probably once, but there's actually 8 episodes of the 5th season.
I've seen seasons 1 through 3, which everything I've heard is that the seasons after where it starts getting actually good. Because the first few seasons, it's apparently season 5, episode 8, so I haven't seen it yet. But like the first few seasons, my issues with them were mostly that like half the Clone Wars is happening on Naboo, and there's too much Jar Jar.
Yep.
But I do intend to watch through. At one point, my roommate and I were going to do a watch through of all of them, and basically have a Clone Wars version of what Tapcaf Transmissions is now.
Yeah.
But
that'd be cool.
Well, I think Star Wars Explained is doing something similar.
He does
now. So I feel like now he just Alex would think I'm ripping him off. So I don't know if I should do it.
You should do it. Chat. Let us know if of course do it. His thing was Mario Kart is called Mario Kart Drink and Drive in the UK. Okay. He said, "Do you think Alphabet Squadron is the new Wraith Squadron?" It's similar, where they use different starfighters and the pilots are kind of castaways. So yeah, not as good though. Can't humans command pre-MC90 Mon Cal cruisers because of how the view sensors like? Well, what it always says is that prior to MC90s, which were kind of standardized, the old Mon Cal cruisers were a little less comfortable, and we get a bit of that in the book where it talks about it often being very humid, and like the devices are made for Mon Calamari flippers and whatnot. But they still could command them. Like the the Mon Ramonda, it's not specified in these books, but it's later discussed. It's later described as an MC-80B. It's weird how Han is a commander. It's weird how Han is as a commander. After resigning courtship, doesn't he somehow become a commander given by Crimson Empire 3 and Black Fleet Crisis? I don't remember.
I think at that point he's still referred to as general. I don't know if he's still in active duty,
I mean,
but
he's still
a lot
referred
of
to
those
as
stories were.
yeah.
Sorry.
He's still referred to as general like all the time. Like
Yeah.
even late, like in the latest Force, he just says,
Yeah,
"I
and
gave him my commission."
because of the way that all these stories were written, there were a lot of things where it was supposed to be like they all must have thought they were doing Han's first thing as a general, or they saw him as a movie,
Yeah.
or in the movie being referred to as General Solo, so they assume he stuck with that.
Yeah.
So you get, and it fits his character to not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like everything where it's, I'm doing this and then I'm out.
Yeah.
But because there was like all of those, all those different stories coming out around the same time with little coordination where it was doing the same thing, then he just is perpetually in command of stuff.
Yeah. In this book, he kind of like is appropriately like fed up with it,
Yeah.
especially because like him and Zinj are both like kind of what I felt like as a reader. Like nothing is happening.
Yeah. Like the book actually gives a good justification for why someone like Han would want to be in command, where he's just doing it to prove to Leia that he could kind of exist in that world with her.
Yeah.
Because that's not really what Han's interested in. Like,
But,
he doesn't
at
want
this
to be part
point,
of the
she's
military.
like gonna be full New Republic for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
So he's
And
like,
he kind of knows that. He just wants to show that I can at least be present for that. It's not a deal breaker
plus
for me.
that fits into the next book.
Yeah. Well, he could have Austin could have just left it entirely unaddressed, and I feel like the way he addressed it works out really well. So I'm gonna give him points.
Yeah, for sure. That was our only email, was it?
Yes.
Okay, guys. Well, you can email
So
us
thank
at
you, Tim Walker, for that.
tapcaftransmissions@gmail.com. Corey, do you want to do your ranking? First of all, though, before you do, choose X-Wing or Wraith Squadron. Which is the better series, the trilogy or the quadrilogy?
I'm going to say I preferred Wraith Squadron overall.
Okay.
Especially keeping in mind the restrictions that Alston had when ending it, where at least Rogue Squadrons, Iceheart was kind of Stackpole's own thing that he could deal with. But with Wraith Squadron, considering that Alston had to basically write up from between Iceheart's first death and what we already had for Zinj, I feel like Wraith Squadron overall I prefer.
That's fair. For me, I like the writing in Wraith Squadron is much better. But to me, I think why I like X-Wing more is there. I don't think there's any main character as strong
Rogue Squadron?
Rogue Squadron.
What a cop-out answer.
I like it all. I don't think there's any character as strong as Corran Horn in
That's fair.
In Wraith Squadron. And I think the taking of Coruscant's really fun.
Yeah, I feel like Wraith does the ensemble cast better.
Agreed.
And Face is kind of up there with Corran for me. So
I agree. I don't think I don't think Rogue Squadron has any characters as good as Ton and Face. But overall, I think Corran is so good, and I like Mirax as well.
Yeah.
And the bits we get.
Oral.
Plus, I just like that the X-Wing characters like Tycho and everyone else kind of do make more appearances later on. We don't get that to the same degree with the Wraiths. The X-Wing series feels more connected to me.
Yeah. And I guess like how much I was looking forward to the mentions of Oral and Nawara kind of speaks to the strength of some of the Rogue Squadron characters. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing stuff like iJedi.
Oh yeah, me too.
And the next couple X-Wing books. So it's definitely close for me, but I do feel like overall the last 3 books a bit more than the first 4, especially because Krytos exists.
Yeah, That's
and
fair.
you have to consider it.
So where would you put this in your ranking then?
All right, so just to recap for everyone, we've been ranking each book as we go through with totally objective measures. If anyone disagrees with us, including ourselves, they are objectively wrong.
Objectively.
These are in no way opinion, 100% true facts. Justin's ranking currently is first place, Plagueis, second, Rogue Squadron, third, Back to War, then Wedge's Gamble, Iron Fist, Wraith Squadron, Truce Bakura, and Kratos Trap. For mine, I have Plagueis, Iron Fist, Wraith Squadron, Back to War, Rogue Squadron, Wedge's Gamble, Truce Bakura, and Kratos Trap. I am probably going to put this in the new sixth slot for me. Yeah, I'm gonna put it just above Wedge's Gamble, but below Rogue Squadron.
So it's your least favorite of the Wraith Squadron books, in other words.
It's definitely my least favorite of the Wraith Squadron books, by a little bit.
Okay.
But it's not as good as Rogue Squadron. It's probably close to Wedge's Game, but it just edges out a little bit.
Yep.
What about you?
For me, I definitely like it less than. For me, I think it might be sixth as well. I like it. It's tough because I don't know. They're all starting to kind of gel together now too. But I think I'd have to put it. I think for me, this is my least favorite of the Wraith Squadron books. So for me, I think this would be number 7. But again, there's a pretty big gap here. But I mean, I've liked all of these. I keep saying this, but they're all really good. Overall, though, I really enjoyed the Wraith Squadron characters in the trilogy and stuff. Just stuff like Taun's death in the last one and Iron Fist really kind of elevated to me, and yeah. But Rogue Squadron, I think nostalgia kind of keeps that at number 1, and same with the first 3 X-Wing books. I always liked them a lot more when I was younger, so
that's fair.
Yeah.
So I guess just any quick questions from the chat, then we'll talk quickly about what we're going to do next, and that'll be it. Oh, yeah. There's some sounds from Windows for everyone there. Thank you, Windows Update. But yeah, so do you want to just quickly mention what we're going to be doing first? So if anyone wants to put any more questions in the chat, we'll do it.
So next week we'll be doing Courtship of Princess Leia, and then, we're actually going to take a couple. We're not going to be doing next. Oh, let me just bring my calendar because I'm speaking like an idiot. So normally we would do the 26th, the 3rd of October would be our normal day for the next episode. But I'm getting married on the 5th, so we can't do that because I'm going to be too busy. So we'll most likely do the next episode on the 10th. It might change a little bit, like if I get super busy, but yeah, that's what's looking like.
We'll keep you guys posted. I was like talking to him beforehand. He's clearly not committed to this. He didn't agree to cancel the wedding.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I tried writing his fiance an email telling her that she should call it off because this is more important. She didn't go.
She's like, I've been considering it for other reasons.
But congratulations to Justin. That's all. Round of applause. But yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted on what's going to happen with that. The next book we are doing is Courtship, and we're not sure what we're going to do after that. So
yeah,
if people want to send in suggestions where they want us to go, maybe we'll put up a poll. We'll come up with some options ourselves and put up a poll by next time. But
yeah, because we could go straight into Thrawn. We could do which one is it again? What book technically comes chronologically after this?
Technically, Tatooine Ghost I think comes after this, which is I'd rather like work that in right before the Swarm War or something.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to include it here.
One thing that Justin mentioned we could do is the episode 3 novelization because everyone's kind of familiar with that and would be a good breaking point for us here.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
One thing I did want to mention, we didn't talk at all about the prank, which was fantastic, but there were several mentions in the book of Wedge's teeth, where he would like give a evil toothy grin to people, and that was kind of creepy.
Oh yeah, it reminded me of like of Runt because he got those big old teeth.
But But yeah, so maybe we'll put up a poll of some kind. We'll try to figure out for next time so
Yeah,
that I can update the graphics on the screen.
yeah.
But
Also,
we'll
we
go.
had the last episode wrong as well, but that's not a big deal.
Oh shit!
I just been looking at it all stream, but no big deal.
Deleted the wrong layer.
But yeah, let us know. Like, feel free to send us emails because we've been talking about like Jedi prints or like who knows what. So like, we're gonna yeah. I'm definitely I gotta say I love these X-wing books, but I'm kind of relieved to get through them.
Yeah, like
It's been a
a
bit
few
of
people have asked about like doing Isard, Adamar, and then Wraith Squadron, but I kind of feel like it'll be nice
yeah,
as a break later to come back to them
agreed.
rather than forcing it all in now and then it's gone forever and we kind of get tired of it by now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe even like Republic Commando for an episode or two.
yeah,
But
yeah. That'd be fine. How many? Yeah, we could do Republic Commandos. Oh, MedStar.
MedStar would be a really good one.
Yeah, and there's just two of them, so like that's a perfect little break there. Yeah, and MedStar is really standalone too. We can do
Yeah.
like the stupid zombie ones and stuff as well, or whatever.
Red Harvest and Death Troopers, I think.
Yeah, at some point we'll do Bane. I'm sure. I don't love Bane, but at some point we'll do it.
Okay, so let's take a look at any questions that came up there. I've got the stream open in my laptop. I've got the OBS and my notes open in my desktop, and I just tried to drag my mouse from my desktop to my laptop.
I do that all the time.
But yeah, so
Husk says Warlord Zinj was competent somehow to get an old was another dozen SSDs. There were more than a dozen SSDs in Legends.
there's more than a dozen SSDs per frame of Dark Empire.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, Core, but I did a count of like every named SSD or like in the Dark Empire sourcebook talks about the first like invasion where the Empire sends out 12 superstar destroyers.
Yeah, they
I came to like
there's some definite
63, I
SSD
think.
inflation in certain media.
Yeah. But yeah, he clearly was important. Oh yeah, I do like the part too where Min identifies the trap in the asteroid field because
Yeah.
he was running the simulator and he was fighting the old Iron Fist, the Victory Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I'm gonna miss the guys. I'm sad now.
How much do y'all estimate the second death cost to rebuild? Infinity credits.
Yeah, way too much.
Favorite character from Rogue Squadron and Wraith Squadron? We kind of touched on that where I think Ton and Face
Tonin, Face, Corrin. I
Corrin,
kind of like Kel a bit.
Oral. They're all great. Except for Min. Min is really just the one I don't like.
I don't even mind
Min,
him. But...
Cast and Dawn, or Dawn Cast, and whatever his name was, they sucked.
I don't even remember.
Sand Skimmer, Fallon Sand Skimmer wasn't fantastic.
I kind of liked her just because she was so like impotently angry at Luke.
Yeah. I like both of the forges.
Really? You like Lou Jane? She gets stabbed.
Yeah, but she was just so nice.
Yeah.
She was keeping everyone together. That was good.
I didn't like Caston. But I was thinking, so you know how Caston goes to that lab? Was it the same one that because it describes it like exactly the same way as when what's her name sneaks into it to free the
yeah. It's probably the same two lab techs that he.
Yeah, because it talks about like how they can't see through the glass. Also, it was just funny the creatures they have. They've got like Tals, which are gigantic. And they have Ortolans, which I'm pretty sure is like Max Rebo, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the? I did a video on it on like the dark secret of Return of the Jedi.
I haven't seen that. No.
I gotta send it to you because I did it like it's funny, but anyway, the Ortolans, like everyone assumes that they're just just regular small elephants, right? But like they're originally in, you know how he's got his arms hanging over the whatever the jizz piano.
Yeah.
Those are supposed to be his legs.
Oh, what?
Yeah, hold on. Let me send you a picture. Look up Max Rebo legs. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, look at the second picture of Max Rebo legs. It's like concept art of like Max Rebo splayed across his jizz piano.
His festering jizz box. Huh.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
just
that's
so he's
something.
basically playing piano just balls out. But there
Mm,
are other
okay.
things that have had him as a four-armed or as a four-legged creature, but
That's disgusting. Thank you
I
for
did a
showing
video
me
on
that.
it. I'll send it to you. I put a lot of effort into it, trying to make it really creepy.
All right. How come we don't see large tank battles in Star Wars? I mean, there's just more
It's better
uh
just knock him out with a starfighter.
starfighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the main characters. Like there are a few mentions of like tanks and stuff, and then you get strategy games that introduce tanks, but
You get
really
that
starfighters are
you
where
get
it's
that
at.
random bit when Dahl is invading Yavin, and for some reason she used like only ground vehicles, despite the fact that she's fighting Jedi.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, Dala.
Yeah. Anyway, I
All
think
right.
that's all I've got to say for today. You're gonna join us for a stream after this, are you?
I am joining.
So we're
Are
gonna
we
be doing
plugging that?
some more. Well, I mean, might as well. We'll be doing some more burial cart. Probably. How soon will we be good to go?
I'm ready whenever. I've just got
Yeah.
to finish a stream about a Star Wars book, and then I'm free.
That sounds shitty. All right. So if you guys want to hear more of me, Corey, and also Charlie, we'll be streaming some burial cart over on my second channel. Corey, you gonna stream it as well? Do you know?
No, I'm
All right. But yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Anything
not gonna
exciting
split the viewership.
in your life coming up?
Well, while you're getting married, I'm gonna be waiting for a box of Star Wars books that I've ordered to show
Ooh,
up.
yeah. You said you paid like
Where
130 for it, and it's like 40
Yeah,
bucks
so
off. Or...
I've for the last few months, ever since I've had an excuse to start accumulating Star Wars books again without my girlfriend killing me, uh, I've been trying to go to every used bookstore I can to get as many Star Wars books back as I can. I had a bunch when I was a kid, and I ended up having to get rid of a lot of them when I started moving around a lot at university. There were a few that I had in a box still, so I still had most of Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, and a couple other ones that I recovered recently. But I've mostly been using used bookstores for that. And I cleaned out most of Ottawa's used bookstores. So I went on Amazon and started looking for like the storefronts for that for used bookstores, and found one place where the shipping was reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a bunch of Star Wars books that cost anywhere from 1 cent to $1.90, and I ordered 38 of them. So I'm gonna get that giant box of Star Wars books,
You should actually
and
do an
my
unboxing, dude. That would be fun.
well, I am planning to record me opening with, depending on how much identifying information is on or near the box. Uh,
Dude, it's really easy
and
to blur out a box label. I did it for a prior
yeah,
video.
and we'll all get to see together how much of my money I wasted, because it was like 130 Canadian dollars, so like $5 American
It really
for
ain't bad.
38 for $38 or for 38 bucks,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get to watch my face of pure bliss or immense disappointment when they're all just shredded pages.
Well, it's just 30 copies of Jedi Search.
Oh God. But yeah, that's what's coming up in my life.
Cool.
Oh, I'm also going to be starting a new Thrawn's Revenge preview series, which is an Empire War mod I run tomorrow, where we're going to. It's the first time I'm putting out video with the or doing a playthrough with the influence mechanics and government mechanics and all the extra galactic shit we're
Oh,
adding.
cool. I didn't know that.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'll be watching that.
Anything else you're doing?
Got my bachelor party on Saturday. Gus's
Ooh.
birthday is coming up. So, busy, busy, busy. That's it, though.
So that doesn't sound as important as Star Wars.
No, it's not, but I don't want to bust my Star Wars nut all at once, you know?
Not getting your own big old box of Star Wars?
No, my local bookstore is actually really good. Like they get new Star Wars books like every week almost. So
Mm.
and it's not nearly as cheap, but I pay about $5 a book. So yeah,
I think there's like 27 Legends books I still need, so I'm still going to be hunting.
that's not
But
that bad though. How many are there in total?
about 150.
Plus plus there's like 300 of those Qui-Gon Jinn Obi-Wan adventure books.
Yeah, there's the Master Quest, the
Yeah.
Young Jedi Knights.
I'm pretty sure there's like legitimately 25 of those Master Quest books.
Yeah. Jedi Quest. What is it? Last of the Jedi, or whatever the Ferris Olin books are called. There's like 10 of those.
Yeah, and then There's like Galaxy of Fear and stuff.
Yeah, so there's a lot.
Plus, we
Comics,
gotta bully people into continuing the Star Wars EU. Michael Stackpole.
course.
I'm just gonna. It's gonna be like a Saw situation.
Well, Troy wants to do it, right? So
He does apparently. Please, Troy. I need to know what
Just
happens to
gotta-
Vistara.
she pops out Rock and Cade. It's gonna be the same thing as the problem with like the new Thrawn trilogy, where we know where it's going, so it probably won't be that exciting.
I honestly just wish that with Thrawn, I would have been completely fine if they left Thrawn until after Episode 9.
Yeah,
Like even now, they could still do it. They could say he was in fucking time bubble. Who knows? Or he's old. Whatever. Like he got sucked away by space whales. Like he was stuck in hyperspace. Like he make him be the post 9 threat. You know? Or I don't know.
it could happen.
It could, yeah.
He's not dead. Filoni has confirmed that.
Definitely not dead.
Well, Filoni has confirmed that he's left it ambiguous so that they can bring him back.
It kind of pisses me off that it's even up to Filoni. I don't know. They should let Timothy Zahn do what he wants.
Well, I think the idea is that they needed some way to resolve the show, so that's up to Filoni as both the producer of the show and also story group person. And then it's like, but when he says someone can bring him back, it basically means we're gonna get Tim to write another novel.
But Zahn has also said that he doesn't want to, like screw up whatever he said specifically that what's his name has first crack at it. So.
But we'll see
Dave has first crack at it. Yeah, it's exciting that we don't know what happened because I've never in my life not known what happened. So it's exciting.
Yeah, the only thing we know is that he is definitively not definitively dead.
Right.
But anyways, I think that's all for us.
Yep.
Let's go get drunk and play Mario Kart.
Let's do it. See you guys on the second channel, X2, and see you, Corey, in 3 weeks. And just now.
Also 3 minutes.
Yeah. All right.
Peace. Bye, everyone.
All right,
Outro music.
I don't think my Audacity crashed.
That's good.
Here, I want to send you this video I did. I actually put way too much effort into it for what's basically a meme. Just the intro is funny. The first 10 seconds. Hold on.
I'm going to take my headphones off so I can switch off push to talk for a bit. Some headphone free time.
Yeah, good call. Me too.
A secret that will change not only how you see Return of the Jedi, but Star Wars as a whole. Jabba's entourage was made up of hundreds of aliens. One in particular is the focus of today's video.
Did I not stop recording?
Who knows Jabba
Oh, I'm still recording.
fondness for jizz whip,
Still streaming?
Yeah.
most
Hey, guys.
popular musical styles. He loved jizz so much that he hired a band.
This video is funny. All right, guys.
Entertainers. I'm talking
I handed him the Audacity though, right? That's okay. Good. That's what I'm mostly concerned about. All right. See you guys later. See you on next.